is the whip, and this is commonly done on smaller trees, probably little finger size up to ring finger size. And this is the only one of the three that actually you do it when it's dormant. And you can do it now, but I had better success, and I usually do mine starting around the 1st of March, and it's about two weeks before they bud out, 2 or 3 weeks before they bud out. And I hear in the nurseries that have hundreds and thousands of trees, they start doing it much earlier. Some of them do it as early as January, a lot of them do it in February, because they have a time limit to get it done. But this is probably, I would think, the hardest of the grafts, but after you get comfortable with it, it's not that bad. There's a little danger point in there. I'm gonna show you where it is when you're splitting your wood. And but anyway, the main thing about this graft is your scion has to be the same size as your tree. And the banana graft is a little different than the next graft. But you want them to be the exact same size, so when they cut and they match, they're gonna flap over exactly right. What I do is I make a slanted angle, pretty much like that other angle I made. And you come on your scion wood, and you make the same angle. Okay, next thing you want to check is the length of the angle. Okay, this angle is a lot longer and this one's shorter, and I want them to match closer, so I either have to cut this one more or cut this one shorter. You want them the same in length, the exact same length. I'm going to cut this one a little bit shorter. Now they're pretty close to the same thing. Okay, this is the danger point when you go to notch it. And when you hold your thumb on your wood and on your tree, and you wiggle it. You don't go straight down. Now I have to notch it. And I call it a little above 50% up, or 60% from the bottom. I'll make a little notch. You come down on the wood and you start notching it, but you gently notch it. If you're not real careful, what happens, you push pressure, it'll cut through the tree and it'll get your fingers. And okay, this is the notch. Okay, you go to your wood and you cut pretty much the same notch on your scion wood. And like I said, you put a little pressure, but you wiggle it and you hold your thumb to where it won't tear off of there. Okay, usually after I cut that notch, I kind of pull it out a little bit because it's got to sit in there. Okay, you try to get everything overlapped and lined up. And I've been doing it with a rubber band for years. You wrap it with the rubber band. This is a 3/8 1-inch rubber band. It just pulls it tight. It keeps pressure on your graft, pulling it together. And I think these rubber bands came from A.L. Leonard. I think you can get them from A.L. Leonard, and you might be able to get it from Constructive Safety out of Shreveport. Anyway, this is parafilm. This parafilm is a 2-inch parafilm, comes on a roll, and I think that came from Shreveport. And anyway, I try to do most of the covering right over the rubber band. What happens is that sun deteriorates this parafilm really, really fast. Okay, when you're doing this graft, it's usually in March, so it's cool. The weather's real cool. And what we do is we go up and just make one wrap around the stick, the sign stick, and seal it. It makes like a little greenhouse. And usually if I do this later in the year, like right now when the weather's getting up in the 80s, I don't go all the way up, I just go over here. But most of this grafting is done the end of February or the beginning of March. Usually if you don't have too much to do around the first week or second week in March is the best time to do this graft. You'll have more success. And what happens, the buds will come right out of here. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all something else I just learned this year. I bought a few trees from a guy, and he had some professional guys coming there in his nursery. And what they did is they used this white budding tape. They didn't use any rubber band, no parafilm, no nothing. This is all they use. And this is pretty much all I use on my banana graft, the other graft, the 4-flap. And I'm just going to show you how it was done. Make it like there's no rubber band on it and there's no parafilm on it. What they would do is they would come in here low, and they would pull it real tight. Now they pull this thing tight, tight, tight. It might have been a little heavier duty stuff than I had, but anyway, they pulled on it where it was very, very tight. They go from the bottom and they'd go back over it again. I mean, go from the bottom up and then from the top down again, so you have like a double coverage. Now on my banana graft, I usually tie these two together. Now these guys, what they did is they overlapped among themselves like this, and they actually did it twice. They overlapped twice like this. And like I said, these guys that did it in the nursery, they only use this white tape. Okay, I have another thing. You can't find the white tape. You don't have the rubber bands. One of my best friends is dead now. His name was Mac Pecan. And Mac knew how to cut a real good cut, a good fit. He used only black electric tape, and he was good at it. So if you don't have the rubber bands, you don't have the budding tape, you don't have the parafilm, all you do is wrap that cut with black tape and pull it together. You get a good fit, then pull it really together and wrap it with black tape, and you should have pretty good tape with just black tape. There's other tape that's white, and the other color tape probably would work too. But in other words, if you don't have the right stuff, you can use tape, and you should have pretty good tape.